Ladies and gentlemen, everyone around and in between, it is Debate Sensei CEDA edition, where we tackle the ins and outs of CEDA debate, exploring um, how to participate in this event as a competitor or a coach. And I have with me my resident expert, Devin Cooper. Thank you so much, Devin, for being here.
Welcome.
Mhm. So, we're talking about how to prepare for the first tournament. And I wanted to start it off with envisioning the very first tournament. So either I don't know, maybe we discuss, what it's like to be as a competitor at your first tournament and also how to coach the first tournament. If you're doing CETA for the first time, either as a coach or a competitor, how do we do it? And then we'll build from there. So what are your thoughts on that? Like imagine that you're going in the first time or remember the first time going in and what things pop to mind?
Well, my first time like formally coaching as like a adult, like
Yeah.
when I was a grad student at Fullerton,
Oh,
um, I felt like I wasn't nervous, but it was more so that I knew what type of debater that I was
mm,
and what I expected out of myself. And so I kind of put those expectations onto my students to say, hey, and this is like, before we got to the tournaments, like we need to research, you need to understand what perspective of the resolution that you want to take. Like,
mhm.
do you want to be, straight up policy when it comes to the resolution? Do you want to be more critical or do you want to be performative? Right? Because those things like have very different aspects of how you do research and how you interpret the topic in themselves. And so there's just certain answers to certain arguments you would need based on the way that you've chosen to debate. And so, you know, more policy focus. There's like a constant updating of like politics disadvantage, as well as current events and different formations that are happening around the country and in other countries. And so that's the thing.
So how does somebody answer that question if they've never done it before or they don't understand what those distinctions are?
Well, so I think, and I'm probably gonna get, shot for this, but I kind of think that people should start learning more traditional policy debate
Mm,
first
mhm.
to figure out, like, especially if they're like new to it,
Right.
like to figure out what an argument is and how it looks and what are the different, off case positions and, how you structure a case and stuff like that. And I think that those are what really some of the fundamentals you should know first, because I
Mhm.
mean, it's cool that, people might want to do a K or do a performance, but that stuff like takes time for you to understand effectively and also to know it and know and read the literature behind it to defend what that particular stuff is. Now, of course, you can have people who are coaches that are already, you know, geared towards doing that
Mhm.
because that's what they did and that's how they choose to coach. But like for me, I have to be more open to the multiplicity of how students want to come to this particular arena because we're not just like a K team. Like people like think
Right.
that, but historically, I guess Long Beach in itself was like always a mixture when it
Okay.
came to policy. And so, for us, we do whichever style students feel comfortable with. Uh,
Would you say that programs that start even their novices in like as a K are pretty rare?
Not necessarily,
Okay.
but well, it's only because like their coach might have a perspective about
Right.
debate. Like, and this is where I'm gonna shout out Jordan, rest in peace, who
Oh,
was at Southwestern, Ann's husband.
right. Oh, right.
He was an amazing coach, but he also like would have his students read a lot of like Marxist socialist type arguments, and
Right.
so they would be a novice coming into that and reading those type of arguments. And so that happens, that people will do that. Sometimes the students will be into it, sometimes they won't, or they'll branch out, or they'll, stick to it as they move up to varsity. but it's usually a lot of the choice of the coach, how they want to orient their scholarship on their
Yeah.
team. For me, I would not want to just put somebody in and be like, here's a K, go, right? Unless that's their choice. And if
Right.
that's their choice, you have to understand that we're going to talk about the traditional stuff before you go out and represent us, because you have to know what you're answering and you have
Right.
to also know what you're criticizing. So,
Right. Right. Because the criticism is in its essence a response to,
yeah.
you know what I mean, that you are critiquing something. And now I know that there's some critical apps out there, but even then, it's it built upon the sort of prior understanding of what a K is, and then
Mhm.
applying it to the affirmative. Right. Okay. So let's do something simple. How if you're going into a tournament for the very first time, novice and coach, how long do you think it takes to get ready for that?
Well, I would say it varies because at least when it comes to policy, we have, the ADA, right? And
Yeah.
they put out a packet every year.
Ah.
Yeah. And so that packet is the starter packet that people be reading up, at least for the first 4 or 5 tournaments.
Okay.
And then like that'll be a thing. Some tournaments will sanction that that's the packet that you must use in order to
Yeah. Right.
compete.
Right.
So I
Right.
think that's a really good way to help new programs and to help, people to have novice students, because it's gearing their research towards a set of arguments that are um, from different aspects. It's not really performance stuff because that's not really ADA's thing, but
Right.
there is a K inside of there, at least for
Oh.
this
Okay.
year. Like this year, they have a no first use av. They have like some dis ads, and they also have the security K, which is
Now, where does somebody find the packet?
it's just on the ADA site.
Oh, it's on. Oh, just on
Yeah,
that
and they
website.
have
So,
a section that says novice curriculum, and
oh.
they put out like stuff, and even CEDA now has started to like implement lectures that they have
Ah.
people give that are about certain aspects of the topic or certain things in the like cross examination,
Right.
decide stuff like that. And so
Okay.
they've been doing that, and I think that's kind of like a way to try to reach out to get people to understand what those things are more, and to try
Yeah.
to recruit people. Even at this tournament we're about to go to literally next week, Northwestern, there are some people signed up that you don't usually see at policy tournaments.
Ah.
There's a school called Southern Nazarene, and there's also Western Kentucky is
Oh,
going.
well, now Western Kentucky's got their NFA team, so yeah, like they're gonna be up on their research because it's got the same
The
topic.
same topic, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're sending a person in LD to the CSUN tournament.
Ah.
We're going to have him really geared up to debate this topic because, policy, we've been doing this research since like, you know, June.
Right.
And so, given that we have a lot of files that he can use to compete in LD, it's just that, you got to know how to use them. So,
Okay. Yeah. I found it. It's really easy to find on the American Debate Association.com, all spelled
mhm.
out. Yeah, you go under novice curriculum, and then it just says novice resources fall 2023. That's great. And I even see some of those tournaments they label as like packet only. That's a Yeah, 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 yeah. So, you like okay. So you got these packet only tournaments. Do do seniors still go to those and use a packet only?
Yes, because the packet is only for novice.
Oh,
Right.
oh,
And
oh, oh,
so
oh, got it.
the JV might use some stuff from the packet, but might update it and change it, like different advantage or different link cards or whatever. But the open teams, they're not. They might
Okay,
do a version of the packet app, but it's not going to be that. It's going to have definitely a lot of changes.
okay,
So, you know. But
yeah,
literally, the novice stuff is just for building skills and to get them debating and viewing the evidence and seeing what it is, which I think is a helpful tool for people.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Where's some of these tournaments here? So I'm looking at Kentucky, Washington. Is there nothing out California way?
No,
No, no.
no, no. Like our district is pretty small-ish at this point, and
Okay,
we're trying to just keep it alive a whole lot. You have us, Fullerton, USC,
Okay.
CSUN, Berkeley, Arizona State, and Southwestern College. Fullerton
Mm,
College dabbles into like debate quite a bit, and so it's like a good collection of us.
okay.
But I feel like as a district, we do need to be a little bit more active, and but that's up for
Hmm.
what people.
Okay. Okay. All right. So first time going in, without getting too deep on any one particular strategy, what's an overall perspective that people should have going into like the very first tournament, not just of the season, but ever? Like what
Um,
sort of mind?
I mean, literally to expect the unexpected. I mean, if you're in a novice division, that's not necessarily it. If you're more of the
Mm,
JV, pretty much, yeah. JV
okay.
sometimes getting the fouls handed down from the varsity division, given to them, right? And they
Mhm.
have to do whatever they're gonna do. But the novice, like I feel like there is some level of um commonality when it comes to anybody who's entering a novice division because all of them are just kind of like new, right? They don't know
Okay.
what's going on. Sometimes they don't know the times, sometimes they're just trying to argue what they know best. And it may not be as structured and very formal as you move up. But it's really nice to see because you can try to like give advice and tell the students what they need to improve. And there's some people who are very eager novices that end up being in varsity one day and competing at the NDT, sometimes breaking
Mm,
in at the NDT. So
right. Right. Um, now, if what's now this topic this year is three pronged, and
mhm.
so, uh, but you only really need to have one AF, right? You say that that's the
Mhm.
the minimum, or should you have more than one AF walking in the first?
If
Just
well,
the not
if you're novice, one half. That's
one
good.
AF.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Nothing. All right. Cool. Now, what? But once you get up into open, are you? What's your goal for number of AFs?
Well, as of right now, we have three.
Got three.
Yeah. So, I mean, by the end of the season, we'll need to have like 6 or 7
Or six or
because
seven?
yeah, because we're competing at that level that we have to like constantly, update and change stuff and modify stuff because they're trying to go for Copeland.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, that's a lot of work and
Yeah.
yeah, so they want to be in the top 5, but to be in
Yeah.
that top 5, you really have to be cranking it out and being able to
Oh yeah.
defend your stuff wholeheartedly. And so as of right now, we have 3 apps and like maybe 5 off-case positions and some framework stuff that we're gonna dabble into. But you know,
Now is walking into the tournament with three apps. Are you expecting to use all three at the first tournament? Okay.
no, I mean
All right.
maybe 2,
Maybe two.
but all throughout prelims, we're definitely gonna do one.
Right.
And we're gonna have I mean, if you think about it technically,
Okay.
and the way that we modulize it,
Oh.
as of right now, we might have 5 apps because
Oh, I got you. I got you.
yeah, because we
Like
have like we switch out some of the interpretation of stuff or a different method, but still the same overarching theme.
okay.
So it's like we gotta have an app for the teams that are gonna read framework against us. Gotta have an app for the teams
So
that are gonna read a K or critical performance strategy against us. And then we gotta have an app. We just don't predict. We don't know what they're gonna do. So.
so what are the okay, say an AF is an AF. You know what I mean? It's like you time it out, you read it top to bottom, boom. And like I could picture three of those. What are you doing for second line? Like, what do those files look like? How much of that material do you have to have ready?
Well, so like you would just have to have extensions to the stuff that you're saying in the affirmative, right? Is
Are
that
you
what
putting
you
that all in the same? Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. But that is that just in the same file? You know what I mean?
mean?
Just putting it in there. There's not like
Yeah,
some. Okay.
yeah, because I mean, I think that I try to tell my students that you have the 1ACs, the module 1ACs, and then you start incorporating your blocks
Okay.
against other popular arguments that you're going to hear. and put that under there, and then just keep on building into that one file to
Hmm.
make sure that's the thing. But like though that so particularly we have one F that is about like abolition pedagogy and like denuclearism, whatever. And so with that F, we might have three modules, which are three different 1ACs, and
Okay.
then we have to have like different answers to framework because they're not like,
It's not all
technically.
the same argument, right?
Yeah, and so that's the thing. But that's not something that has to be typical for a lot of teams. That's like usually if you are trying to compete at the
Right.
highest levels and be strategic about it. So,
But at the novice level, you're putting out enough to fill that first speech, and then you have um, just a few extensions, huh? What do you
yeah,
think?
because you're teaching
Couple.
you got to teach the novices how to extend the evidence that they already read, and then how to do impact calculus, time
Mhm.
frame, magnitude, probability, reversibility, proximity, root cause, all that good stuff. And so when you're doing that, that's where you start to teach them to fill in with the evidence that has already been read. And you can read another card if you'd like, if you have time. But more so, these second speeches, like the 2AC, needs to be more refutation, more impact calculus,
Right.
more like offensively answering their stuff to set up the 1AR to have answers that are offensive as well.
Now, how much of those shells do you write out, like for the analysis, right? I mean, like there's an argument that probably triggers a shell, and you got several lines coming out.
I
Uh,
mean, I would say in a novice division, but the thing is, like with novices, if you're debating in policy, you'll have that ADA packet. That ADA packet is not going to come with like blocks
oh,
necessarily. You
okay.
have like an answer to file,
Oh,
but
that's
you
okay.
would have to work with them to create what their blocks would look like. And those blocks should have analytical arguments as well as like carded evidence.
Yeah.
So
So the analytical evidence, even if you're going to an ADA packet only tournament, is
mhm.
that kind of like what a lot of your preparation can be? Is just like you can prep out as many sort of analytical blocks on your own and use
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you can, but you definitely just want to be extending the stuff that was in the packet because you can't really read cards from anywhere else, but
Okay.
you can read or make analytical arguments and extend on the cards that you're already reading, and that is good because number one, you want to be teaching novices how to extend arguments and how to flow them and how to answer them and have line by line refutation because
Okay.
those are some of the basic things that they're going to really need when they get up to the open level is how to flow and how to do line by line refutation. Or if they're not going to do line by
All right.
line refutation, they're going to have to do some type of, hocus pocus that you as a coach has created or they have created as a system for them. So yeah.
That kind of like that kind of sounds like fun as a coach. That really sounds like a nice little exercise to do, like especially sort of a camp like exercise. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, here's the packet. Let's go at it.
I mean, I think it's good when you have students that are dedicated to it, but like if you have students that are like a little lazy or don't really like work
Um,
hard, then it's just like, why am I doing this for you? Because I'm
right.
not the coach anymore. Because I used to be that coach where I would like, I'm gonna write all this out and I'm gonna tell you everything to say and blah blah blah. And that's something that's really popular in policy debate right now. So like script these students, right?
Right.
And I'm not trying to script students out. And so I mean I can at least probably say that our first round bid team is not a team that's scripted out. I haven't written out all their arguments and I haven't put all together all their stuff. They create their things, and then I will interpret and say what's good and what's bad, what you need to change, how you might want to say it differently, right? And I think that that's one thing that I can really look to for our team at least, as opposed to some teams that kind of have big squads and they have like their coaches just write verbatim everything out
Right.
and they just explain the arguments to them. I don't think that's really beneficial to students at large because you're just teaching them how to regurgitate stuff that you said or
Okay.
that you think. So,
Um, okay, let's go on the neg. But let's start on the novice level. If you were having a novice walk into a tournament for the first time, what's the menu of negative strategies that you think they should walk in with?
there should be some variations. They should have like maybe a counter plan to disads in case, or a K in case, or all disads in case, right? It just depends on what the strategy is. Or, I mean, if you really want to get spicy, you can have counter plan, two disads, a K in case, if you want to do that. But but you got to make sure you teach these students how to kick out of arguments, because you obviously can't go for all that in 2 NR. So
Yeah, right. I mean,
I mean, because sometimes that's what novices will do, is that they'll go for the cocktail, and it's like, whoa, hold on, you got to kick out of some of these things.
yeah, yeah. It's you're mixing too much. It's like a Long Island iced tea or something.
Mhm.
You can't have all of that. That was such a hard lesson for me to learn, because I remember being up in senior and still pretty much going for everything. I mean, just because I'm like, dude, I think I got an answer for everything, but that's not the point. The point isn't that you can win on everything. Yeah, I had to watch a lot of debates as a coach, I think, in order to learn that lesson fully. So
I just had to judge a lot, like, and when I've judged a lot, I've seen different things. And like for me as a judge now, I'm like flat out, if you go for too much, I'm not gonna vote for you.
oh, you just
Unless
yeah,
unless it is like overwhelmingly like, ah,
yeah,
like I
yeah,
have to vote for you. But like if you're going to go for everything, you don't spend enough time going in really detail, like one or two positions, then
hmm
it's just like you're doing shallow work on 4 or 3 different positions, and you have not solidified the exit strategy out of this round. And so I'm just like, where's the offense, and
right,
what am I doing with this?
right,
Especially if it double turns or bites each other. So
right. I mean, you can't like. I mean, oftentimes you have like, what about tea? Is there? Are you prepping out any of them?
yeah, like only for certain violations, because you can't prep everybody out for like every single
Yeah,
violation that occurs. But the thing that at base level you can teach a novice how to answer T with the formal steps of what
right.
it is, and then that can help them a lot. Because sometimes people that are going to read T against, oh, you mean like if they're answering it or if they're reading it?
No, if you're walking in as a novice on the neg,
Oh
like
yeah,
what are you prepping out? Yeah, on
yeah.
T.
So I think we would mostly prep out maybe 1 or 2 violations, and if they choose to use that, they can. But like, it's not anything major, because like it is good to go for T, but the problem is that a lot of judges oftentimes don't know how to really evaluate it.
I mean, it's really only about if you kind of brainstorm which one, like what cases you think people might run, and then
Mhm.
you kind of look at one of them a little sideways and go, "No, that ain't cool," and then you can prep out a T on that. Like, I don't know, modernizing the nuclear weapons is like, yeah,
Well, so like there could be certain different things that are are not really covered in the topic that you can't really like get rid of. Like, so for example, if an app was to talk about removing like chemical weapons or biological weapons, that's like not T, right?
right,
Or if they do that as an effect of their app, like not an effect, but like as an extra thing, that
yeah,
would be extra T.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
it can't do that. So like that would be a thing. But I don't think that anybody who's reading a traditional app would literally be like, we're gonna get rid of VX or some shit like that. I mean, it's just not gonna
Right.
happen. It's mostly gonna be nuclear weapon stuff, but you can like, but more the list is gonna come into play when people are reading framework against the K teams,
Mm,
because oftentimes they're not going to like disarm or remove nuclear triad or no first use policy. It's not what they're gonna do. So.
yeah, yeah. So on the neg, like you're walking in with three afts because it's this year is three prongs.
Well, for us, like we're not doing it based off of the 3 prongs.
Okay.
We're incorporating them into our discussion, but
Okay.
there's not like a one focus on one particular aspect. It's just like the theory behind those things, as well as examples of those things, and when those things have been abused and exploited and things of that nature, and what is used to create those actual things. So
but as a novice, would you recommend it? Like, just make sure you got a diss ad on each one of those.
yeah, a
Yeah,
link at least, because like
yeah,
all of them, all three of them are going to link to like a terrorism DA or hedge DA,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
are. And of course, the affirmatives are going to have like direct answers to those right away. And I've even seen articles where people are like, yeah, no first use policy is not going to decrease hegemony or militarization or all that good stuff. Is going to make us even better at diplomacy or make us better at being prepared and send the nationals. I mean, send a global signal, blah blah blah, all that stuff. But that's the stuff that people want to use to answer to disad, and even they might impact turn stuff, not impact her, but more so just turn the idea that getting rid of, or the mindset that getting rid of nuclear weapons will cause like a decrease in hegemony. They might
Mm,
say, oh, militarism is bad and we need to reduce that. And that's like your dissad is trying to promote the likes of militarism, which is going to inevitably cause war,
mm.
so that type of stuff. So.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of back files in those in those responses.
Boy, it is. It's going to
Yeah,
be that.
yeah, just get it. Okay, and so man, people got fat ass nuclear back files, don't they?
Yeah, that's just what it is.
Yeah,
This has been a topic at least like 5 or 6 plus times, like
right.
since the existence of
But even when it's
policy
not,
debate.
like it's all the impact analysis always goes to war,
Hmm.
new war. Yeah, and so yeah, man. All right. Um, what else we got here? So the so how many practice debates you think that you need to have before you're walking in there?
At least three.
Three. Three. That's a
At
good number.
least.
Nice round number. At least
Or
one.
at least like some stop and go, like answer questions, answer argument kind of session. Because it's just like if you walk in without a practice round or without being vigorously questioned about your stuff,
Right.
it's going to be like hard for when those questions come to you in the debate round. You don't really have an answer.
Right. Right. The cross-X drills are probably like doing cross-X more than even your speeches. Sounds like it's a good idea.
Hmm.
Just bouncing stuff off each other. All right. Okay. Knowing your judges. Okay. Well, that has been illuminating. I love talking about how to get new participants into the field and what that's like, and just kind of reminiscing on what it was like when I did it as well. So thank you
Well,
very much.
I mean,
Go ahead.
also like just really quick, CEDA has like they have a committee for new school development, and so like
Oh,
people can, like, if people want to be a part of the policy community, CETA has an outreach for that particular thing as well. So
okay. Okay. Well, that's good to know. And so the American Debate Association website has the novice stuff. And is the CETA website up and running now?
I think it is up and running.
You
And
know what
so,
it is. I'm on it. There it
yeah,
is.
so I'm not really sure if like everything is back on it yet, but they have a lot of stuff posted. But
All right.
literally, I was on the new program development committee at one point.
Oh,
So,
really? Okay.
yeah. And so it's just like providing resources and advice to new programs that are coming up into the activity. So,
All right. Excellent. That would be cetadebate.org. So, yeah, anyone want to check that out? Thanks again, Devin. I look forward to our next episode up in the future.
welcome.
All right.